What's up, guys? Iván here, and welcome to Coffee with Iván. Today, I had the honor to talk to the one and only Torsten Haas, also known as HazE. I was really looking forward to talking to HazE because he was my bass teacher while I was getting my bachelor's degree in music at the music school in Osnabrück. Aside from teaching and being part of the bass department at the music school in Osnabrück here in Germany, HazE is also the bass player and musical director of one of the biggest hip-hop artists here in Germany called Samy Deluxe. In this episode, we talked about how he got started working as a musical director and how his approach has changed over the years. We also talked about arranging for a live show, mixing electronic instruments or samples together with real instruments and real musicians. We talked about the importance of communication skills and his approach to writing bass lines and meditation. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode because, like I mentioned earlier, HazE was my teacher and I just learned so much during my time taking lessons from him. And it was not like he just, showed me a bunch of scales or a bunch of exercises. To me, it's as if he, grabbed my brain and just poured a lot of information, useful information into it. And he was not showing me, okay, play this scale or play these exercises. It was a very interesting way in communicating information that enabled me to find information that I required at the time on my own. So that's something that I really appreciate, and I hope you guys learned something from this conversation. You can check out HazE's work on Facebook and on Instagram at HazE of Bass. He also has a really cool YouTube video called History of Rap Basslines, so go check that out. But I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you guys in a bit.
The question just came up, like maybe it makes sense to have a musical director, and the majority of people in the band thought that I would be the man for the job. So that was basically the first time I, as far as I can remember, I didn't set out to do that like that.
And that was the first. That was the first couple of times that you start directing a band.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
And how?
Some time ago.
Yeah.
So it's kind of try to figure out how exactly did that go. But yeah.
And how has that evolved from the beginning to where you are? Because I know you do, and for those of you listening, HazE is the musical director for a very big hip-hop artist here in Germany, Samy Deluxe. And that's the shows are big productions, really in front of a lot of people. How has the process evolved from doing the music directing back then to what you do now? What are some of the responsibilities that you have on that job?
What you're asking, what's different now?
Yeah,
how I'm working compared to
how the process has evolved, like your approach to doing it.
Oh, right. So back in the day, so to say, it was a lot more about. It still is, but that was exclusively instruments being played. So the role of Ableton Live and backing tracks was minimal compared to how I'm usually working now. So it was a good school for figuring out how to get a certain sound with the band. So what kind of things could change for it to sound a certain way, and that goes deep into arranging stuff, and for every single part of the music, like how does the sound of the guitars or the sound of the snare drum and the timing of it, and that kind of determines what it's like. So back then it was a lot about that. Now it's a lot more about working with Ableton and getting a blend between live musicians and the backing track. So it's like when I prepare for an album or for touring an album, I get the whole production after mix. So I got, I don't know, 200 tracks or something, like with all the send returns and everything. And then I distill it down and create versions that make sense for a band, for live musicians to play with.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna ask, because a lot of like hip hop music has electronic elements, samples, um, synthesizers, and beats that are not made on a real acoustic instrument. How do you take all those tracks and make? I mean, you can of course go into super like details, but um, how do you take those like that world of electronic music and transform it into a live performance?
Yeah, I figure out that you need to have, so to say, little ensembles that work. So when I got something coming from the playback, this world needs to be intact somehow. So that whatever comes out of the machine needs to make sense without anything else. So if I just have little beep, whoop, click, stuff all over the place that's not relevant to anything else, what's going on, it's complicated, and it's complicated to play to as well for live musicians. So nowadays I'm trying to get that going. Whatever comes out of the machine needs to make sense on its own. Whatever the band is playing needs to make sense on its own. And then I kind of mix it. And the versions are very different. So we used to, when I started working with Samy, for example, we were we were like 10 people, 11 people on stage, I think. And then a few weeks later, we had a gig where it was just Michel, the drummy, and me on the bass and synth bass and the computers. And now the last show that we did was with a big philharmonic orchestra, where the beats and stuff I had in Ableton. And all synthes and basses was played live. So the idea is not always the same. A few years back, we did exactly the opposite. We had I had all the samples and all the harmonic information on tape, so to say, and then we did drum and bass live.
Mm-hmm.
It's different,
Yeah.
depending on how this particular record sounds, what the style is. Yeah.
And when you're preparing all those arrangements, do you have, like from the very beginning, a vision of how the whole show is gonna look and sound like, or do you take it like song by song?
No, I try to go by. First of all, I need to speak with the artist. That's the most important thing. It's about making the music of this artist the best it can be, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely sit together and come up with ideas and just talk about just like we would talk about a concert that we from a different artist that we saw together. So we sit together. What about this and this? I asked Samy particularly, which instruments do you want?
Mm-hmm.
What do you? Do you want it to have that live idea, or do you want to have it, get it more in an MPC kind of world?
Yeah.
So, and that kind of determines a lot already.
Yeah.
Do we have live drums or not? Is a big thing in how that show is going to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And we mix it up, and we do. So, I tend to. I used to do lots of layers, so I had drums on the tape and then play on top of it live. Now I just do either or.
Yeah.
Because I can like it better. I'm not so much into this like, okay, let's have 15 bass drums and 10 bass notes playing. It's going to be louder because there's only the headroom is not going to go bigger,
Yeah, definitely.
So and I think the contrast is nice when we come from a drum loop thingy or a program thing, and then go into a live drum part. It makes sense.
Yeah.
The drama of it is a good thing.
So that kind of means also that because you're working with samples and real instruments, you have a backing track going through the show, right?
Yeah.
And everyone is to a click.
Yeah.
I think I've heard personally from you tell me directly. There's been some horror stories happening sometimes with the computer where Ableton crashed or something like that. What can you tell us how to try to save like the band in those particular situations where your playback stop or your talkback mic is off or something like that? What can you do to try to save the whole show?
Yeah. Well, these are good situations, right? Because obviously everybody that uses computers on stage has got that idea, like, but what if that, the computer breaks down or it falls on the ground or someone spills like a liter of Beck's beer on it or something. Well, once it happens, people tend to be calm about it. So that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So the fear of the is bigger than the actual danger, as I would say. Well, what can you do? Now I'm running a backup system, so a redundant Ableton system where two computers run in parallel, and once one computer goes down, the other one takes over. So that's easy. But I had a tour where we had lots of, the Mac users know this, the Rainbow. There was the Rainbow tour, definitely. Nearly every evening there was went down.
Yeah.
And I mean, it depends. Samy is one of the best freestyle rappers as well. So and he just turned around. It was like it was the computer down, okay. And then we had this infamous technische Probleme freestyle, so technical problems freestyle. So, the drummer's playing a beat, he's freestyling, and until I'm back on track.
Yeah.
So now, to properly answer your question, how to avoid that? Get a redundant system, and hopefully with two of the best computers you can afford, or the production can afford. And obviously, it's wise to have minimal MIDI instruments and stuff. I tend to work with all audio tracks, and that makes the workload for the computer manageable.
Yeah. And for example,
although I have to say, we do use like when we use electronic drums that we want to play anyways, then I use Ableton as an MPC as well. So there's MIDI instruments going on, or drum racks going, and then the buffer size needs to be low in order to not have the lag and all that. So that takes a toll on the performance. But yeah, it's working out now. And funny enough, since we have the thingy redundant, there was maybe one incident or something where it went from computer A to computer B.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Yeah. You mentioned something earlier about communicating with the artist, but I know, first of all, because you have been my teacher, you have great skills at communication. And how do you use that when you're rehearsing the bands for a tour? When something's, for example, not clicking, or the directions you give to make the performance the best as it can be.
Yeah, all right. Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. I feel honored you saying that communication skills. I don't know. I always feel like I'm just doing ams and ums the whole time. So in that regard, communication is a different thing than what you mean, I guess. Well, when I started doing musical directing things, I was a. Is it allowed to? Am I allowed to swear on this anyway?
Go ahead.
Okay, I was a fucking dickhead. No, to be honest, I didn't know what to do, so I was insecure, and I just was not good to the people I worked with, and I didn't. It needs to be like this and here and there. So basically, I asked the people to be freaking hip hop roboters. That didn't work out. So I thought about it and figured out that that maybe a good thing is, or that music becomes music when people are allowed to be themselves and kind of get the freedom to be themselves. That doesn't mean that it's like all free jazz and everybody is, is totally hippie and 68. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Or I'm happy whatever you do. No, not at all. But there's a different thing that I tell you. Don't what Iván? What you're doing at the moment is shit. Or you're playing shit. Or you're not grooving. Or you're not doing anything that I like. Whatever. To me, this is not good leadership. Mm-hmm. This is just this moany idiot that goes, that states what's not good. Who fucking cares? If I want to be a leader in that situation, I need to come in with a vision, and then I want to ask you, Iván, what do you think? How could you best perform this piece of music so that it sounds like AC/DC, or that it sounds like Peter Tosh, or that it sounds like whatever? You know what I mean? So I'm trying to come up with like a vision, and when I try to communicate that vision, and you don't have any chance but like build that in your memory as well. Or when I say don't, this whole thing about please don't think about this green elephant that's standing in front of a blue mountain that's got yellow clouds and the elephant's got wellies on. You have no chance, but you have to get that image, right? It's a silly example, but still, it's there. So when I ask you, how you as the expert in that situation, how would you play it so it gets the scene gets the most energy without many notes or whatever? So it feels like blah, 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 and I think the chances are higher that you feel like you're the man, and you try to help me out there. Mm-hmm. Instead, I'm going, that's shit. Play it like I tell you to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean with that?
Yeah, definitely. Especially because, like I mentioned earlier, you have been my teacher, and I think you incorporate some of that on your teaching methods. And for those of you listening, HazE teaches at the music school and music college in Osnabrück. Is the bass, one of the bass teachers there, the bass department. And is that something that you like actively also try to bring while teaching, or was it also? Yeah. Okay.
But to me, that's the same thing. Like a lot of the techniques, so to say, that I'm using now come from NLP, from neuro-linguistic programming, and from hypnotic kind of. It's about language. It's about linguistics. It's about how I like my little world to be. How in my little society and my little club, so to say, I don't want it to be stressy. Mm-hmm. I want it to be nice and full of energy. So that's what I'm trying to do. So am I doing the same thing in one-on-one teachings or any kind of educational situation? Sure, it's the same. To me, it's the same thing. Like when at university, when I'm teaching an ensemble or something or a band, it's the same thing. Like musical directing any other band, only there's different people. So to me, there's no difference.
Mm-hmm. And how do you get?
For me, the one thing, I don't care if everybody says, "Oh, hey, students are all the best players" or something. I don't, that's nothing that I really strive for, because who's to say anyway what's good and what's not. But if people say that by working with me, they come up with, they find ways to be themselves. Like when people say, I can be me while playing, and I figure out ways how I can, in my personal way, do this and this and this, and do the Jammers, and it still feels and sounds like me, and do the Family Man, and do the Ant Whistle, and whatever. Without leaving your own house, so to say.
Yeah.
Then this would be a big compliment. Yeah. It's a bigger compliment than everybody is rad and badass and they can all play the sporty stuff.
That's really interesting, because for me, I mean, I can't tell from personal experience, but like looking back at I think it was 2 years we had classes together. You definitely like took my brain and opened it up, and then just like put the right amount of information that I could digest at the time, with a little bit of extra that like later was like, okay, that's what he meant, and then it clicked. But it was like just scrabbling everything and then put good stuff in there. And it was not like you were showing me scales or like play this and that. It was all through saying things like you mentioned earlier. How could you play this in such a way that XYZ could happen?
Yeah, I guess the focus and I guess it's comparable to any kind of meditation or a trancey idea. It's about focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're a meditator, so you can relate to this. You're sitting down. You bring your attention to your breathing.
Yeah.
This makes you calm, and it opens up more and more details about your breathing, about every breath that you take. And I guess bass playing is the same issue. Mm-hmm. So you play notes, just like you take another breath, you play that same note again, and it is a different note, right?
Yeah.
And you figure out more and more details about that particular this situation where you play this note right now, and it's going to be different 5 minutes from now, and it was different 30 seconds from now, even if you play the same note. So it's all about focus.
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize? I don't know. Do you? I'm not sure if you already realize how that sound goes when you take off the finger off the. You release the pressure, from the string.
Mm-hmm.
That's that kind of.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is about paying attention, more details, microscopic view.
Yeah. How is it that you got into that NLP / meditation stuff?
I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember. NLP thing is there for, I don't know, it's long. I remember I gave you that, or I referred you to that book from the guy that I really, Basu, from living in Scotland, I think. Perfect book. This whole idea, what's it called again? Black Book of Persuasion Skills, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's just patterns that kind of make you confused.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I'm using now for music, especially this Rintu thingy with you can have linguistic patterns and learn basically NLP, or in that case, it's more about hypnotic stuff. So hypnosis patterns. I use the same thing now for just basically everything. I'm just working at the moment. I'm working on a course of James Jameson thingies in just patterns, because it's I love you know me. I love Jameson, hands down, one of the greatest of to ever do it, the GOAT. At the same time, now it's kind of got this like it's a fairy tale. It's a Jameson fairy tale. Like it's so and he uses his. I guess he used his favorite patterns and mixed them up, and was so good with adapting them to any situation that you throw at him.
Yeah,
that it feels like it is improvised, and at the same time, it's the words that he likes, that he's speaking, and the little phrases that he knows are just bringing it home. So Vintu Basil did the same thing. He has NLP patterns. This will get you there and there. This creates this and this. I see the same thing with Jameson. Oh, look, this rhythm. Okay, I can make a pattern out of this. And when I got this pattern down, how many ways can I find to use this pattern, and in how many contexts? And you know that I'm more into before I learn a million things to put in one little square. I try to learn a little thing that is widely adaptable to anything.
Yeah, definitely.
I get a little pattern, and then how can I transform it new all the time, every day, every minute, make a new thing, but it is that same thing.
Yeah, and that thing about your approach is one very big, I would say, lesson that I got from you too, especially when I don't know, like learning tunes or studying a bass player, like you mentioned now, like Jamerson, to find the pattern and try to break it down. Okay, what is his formula, so to speak, and how can I replicate that and put it on my own ways? I would ask, that's probably your approach when writing bass lines too.
Which would be what?
Is that your approach when writing bass lines as well?
Like get my own formula or someone else's formula? What you're asking?
No, I mean,
what you mean?
When you come up with somebody asks you to play a bass line on top of a song, do you think, okay, I had this like many patterns in my toolbox, so to speak, which one can I pull out? Or how is your approach when somebody sends you a song to play over it?
I don't. This is not, especially creating bass lines, is not a very left brain. Is that left brain the more organizing side thingy? So I tend to not think so much at all. Mm-hmm. So my thing, I'm working lots in the hip hop world. So there's sometimes references, right? And I might ask a producer, do you want me to infuse some sort of like a 60s idea? So because I know from me that I'm going to be a sample. People hear me as if I was a sample, not like I'm the greatest bass player. I mean, we all know that Pino Palladino played on so many like Common and Erykah Badu stuff. The normal hip hop listener maybe would think that's just like, some sort of record. So there's a reference, and I can come up with more like a Lucky Scott thingy, Curtis Mayfield, or like a more of a Jameson thingy, or whatever. But normally I tend to get rid of all instruments, so I'm not figuring out, or I'm not trying to figure out which chords are played or whatever, and get into a stress. Or I hear the beat, I hear the drums, and hear the samples or whatever else is on there, and I just wait till something comes up. And most of the time, that's very like hieroglyphs. In my head, a lot of the time, the bass lines would sound something like. I'm not joking. This is what it is, and then I get that down. So when it's here, I can feel how that would move the music, and then I figure out which of the three notes are the right ones for that.
Yeah.
Which notes is it? And a lot of times I tried it the other way around as well, and especially when I was younger, and you sit there and you're in the studio and you want to do it all right, and don't want to look like an idiot. So the first thing the track comes on, and you're like, okay, is it C? Is it a C or is it D flat? Is it all these kind of stressful thingies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it doesn't make the bass line more comfortable in a way.
Yeah. So you sing it, you get in the head first, sing it, and then play back.
Anyways, and that's my whole thing. Anyways, to go from here, whatever bass playing is super easy. It's just exactly getting on the under the fingers what's there. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
So then everything is already there. The articulation, the length of the note. When I exaggerate that whole thing in my head, then I even get what it feels like. When I imagine I'm standing at the club in front of the subs and I exaggerate the whole scenario, then I know how that would, how my bass notes would feel like, even though it's not, you don't hear it. I haven't played it yet. It's not materialized, but it's there. So everything that I need for a certain bass line is already there once it's formulated in my head.
Yeah, that's another big thing. I think.
Sorry, but then it's super easy. It's bass playing, so most of the time it's like finding these three fucking notes and just run with it.
Yeah.
Everything else is there. How long is the note? How low is the note? What kind of the patina of the note? What kind of phrasing? How do you go in? And that you imagine bass lines, and it's all there. All these little nuances.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It would take a long time to figure out, by playing and by improvising. I don't know. I know people work like that, and I know people get great results with that. They just try, and I know lots of hip-hop producers that get samples and just fiddle around with them until it's like, oh, now I like it. I don't work like that. I go in with I wait till the vision is there, then I strive for the vision, like with everything, with bass, with productions, whatever.
Yeah, I've got two questions in my head right now. The first one is, how do you approach when, for example, you get a track and there's already a bass line, a hip hop bass line, maybe, I don't know, really synth-like, or 808 kick stuff. How do you take that into a regular bass, or do you play a synth in those situations?
All the time. I don't do the. Well, I used to do the synth bass on electric bass thingy. I used to do it. My idea about it, or my opinion about it, changed as well. Like I had phases where it was I'm doing everything on the electric bass, and that's my thingy, and other times I'm just doing keyboard stuff. And now I settled with the keyboard stuff, and lately I'm using these great these Novation pads and stuff for bass lines too, because there are certain 808 thingies that's tedious to play on the regular keyboard.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I enjoy keyboard bass. I enjoy synth bass playing really on the keys. It's a different momentum somehow. It's a different motoric thingy. Come up with different ideas. So I really do enjoy it, and the power of just holding down that one note, and it can ring out and just blast the whole club for minutes without taking a breath. This is a great gift, or great thing. But all the 808s and stuff that, like on the last 2 Samy records, for example, is all Moog most of the time. There's very little proper 808 sounds, but which reckon as is a 808 bass line. It's no Roland. This is some sort of Moog or Moog. Similar to keyboard.
And how long ago did you start playing synth bass?
A long time. I recently I found a picture of me playing synth bass, and that was 2005, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I studied. I finished my studies in. Look, I did it there already. 2002. Wasn't that big on synth bass there, or not big on the keys. But I remember that I trained already.
Yeah. What would you recommend to someone who wants to start doing that? For example, what records can somebody listen to come up with great synth bass lines, or to learn synth bass lines?
Well, I got it actually. This is for my students, but I've got a synth bass playlist on Spotify. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I make that official or something. Or open it up to the public. I don't. That's possible, right? I don't know about all this. But everything that's on the charts right now. There you go. Apart from the 3 like rock bands that there are, but everything else is synth bass, right? So, or a combination. It's more. I mean, if you listen to pop music now, hip hop music now, the electric bass is like a special sample. Something crazy, and use this kind of stringy sound for the bass. It's all 808s. So if you listen to some Travis Scott now, there's not going to be much electric bass. But obviously, I came from I'm heavily influenced by Bernie Worrell of Parliament Funkadelic fame. Really like his playing, or liked. And I don't know. I should check out my playlist to see what that is. Are you asking specifically for what kind of records and what kind of
artists have, or like, for example, when you were growing or learning to play that, what like records do you check out as an inspiration to learn the lines in there?
Yeah, oh, there's a few things. So definitely the Parliament thingy, and then like on this first D'Angelo record on the Brown Sugar. Brown Sugar, for example, the title track, basically, I think that's organ bass or something, but to me that definitely, first I did all of it, like I did, I always try to do that on the electric bass, to, playing P basses, rolling down the tone and just getting this very fluid thingy going, but at the same time, like getting the slides and everything on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Thingy. Heavily influenced by this by Snoop Dogg Doggy Style album. There's lots of, as it's so influenced on Funkadelic and Parliament anyways, there's lots of, either in the form of sample or like played on top. What's that again? don't know. Anyways, this Doggy Style album, Snoop Dogg, Doggy.
That's great.
I don't know, man. There's so much. There's
Did you
all
check
the 90s R&B. Just like I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's just basically sine wave going, and it's all fluid, and there's no there's always a key pressed down, so there's no pauses, no nothing. It's just
Mhm. Yeah. Speaking about
actually the stuff not that good at. Go on.
sorry,
Go ahead.
speaking about no pauses, I know that note length and the feel created by that are something that you work a lot with, especially for like big shows that you mentioned earlier, like the feel of the subs and the audience. How did you, or could you explain for the audience your approach to that?
Yeah. Well, this is a little trick, especially when you're in a situation where your sonics, so your sound on your in your monitors, or maybe the room just sounds shite. That's a problem, right? I hear a lot say, I couldn't perform proper because it just didn't sound great, and I can understand that. And there's always a problem with, for example, intonation and all that kind of stuff. Sure. And I figured out it's the same scenario like we talked about like 10 minutes ago, where it was when it's about I exaggerate whatever it is in my head and in my body. So when I'm playing a note on a bass instrument, I imagine, when you're a clubbing kind of person, and you stand in front of the subs and the bass is blasting, your whole body gets compressed. That's what it's like. You get this blast from the subs, and it goes. Ooh! So you hold it. You're being held captive basically by this sound, and your body is compressed. So I know when I play a note and I hold the note is ringing, that this is what's going on. I hold the whole kind of room captive with my note. Exactly in the moment that I'm releasing that note, there's like a breath of fresh air basically going through the room. So this kind of image gets me through gigs that don't sound too great.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And probably it does front of house. Maybe it's on stage or in the monitors. Maybe it's different. But anyways, that's what's going on. So you look at it like that, you realize the kind of power that you have over the physical feeling of lots of people, basically everybody that's there. And then you really want to be mindful how you manipulating the bodies basically of the physique of these people. That's what's going on. You want to really like get this push and pull. Like when you play with an amp, which I normally don't, but when you play with an amp and you really turn it up and you play a note, you see that the speaker's like pushing, right? And when you leave that, then there's a suck. So the speaker just gets sucked back into the cabinet, right? So that's the same thing that I'm looking at. It's really like a visual representation of what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to manipulate the whole room, and that's got to do with my relation to the snare drum and to the bass drum and to lots of things. But anyways, I get the idea that the moment you end a note, so basically you release the people, is just as important as when a note starts.
Yeah. I was gonna go into that. You mentioned the snare and the kick drum. Because when you're holding that note and you mentioned you're compressing, you're like, let's put it like you're taking sonic bandwidth.
Yeah.
but when you cut that out, you're leaving space for other people as well. And you can do a lot. You can feature stuff by not playing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you get it? How did you get the idea or that concept? Was it from being at shows and feeling that sensation that you mentioned, or was it like just experimenting?
Yeah, I guess that this idea kind of the situation that it got transparent for me was a musical directing situation where it was it's not fat enough, and I just shoved more and more stuff on the one of the beat, and it just it didn't get fatter. I play the bass drum with another sample for SPDS or whatever kind of sampler you have, and another bass note and the keyboard. Ask the keyboard player to play the chord even lower, and you shove more and more bullshit on the one, and it's just not kicking harder. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, you do that. You mute everything but the kick drum at a certain point, and the kick drum sounds massive. With the compression, everything gets metered anyway, limited compressed, and so on. So the bass drum sounds as big as bass.
Yeah.
When there's nothing or no competition, so to say. So when I realized that, then I figured out as well. I mean, the whole 80s thingy is about playing tight, right? That's what you're supposed to do. You got a drummer and you play tight with a drummer, and you got the same thingies and stuff. There's some truth to it, and that's a feel. And I realized that when we hit a drummer and me hit at exactly the same time, and our transients are really like synced, then that reduces bandwidth. The engineer needs to turn down either the bass or the bass drum, or both of us. But when I go slightly before or slightly behind the transient of the drums, then all of a sudden there's space for both of us.
Yeah.
And the transients just gets big, right? And you know that because I know you're big into dub and all these all these bass music thingies. It's a lot about that. There's a hit on the drums, and you're slightly behind, so you're basically taking over the transient. So the transient just gets wider. Makes sense.
Yeah.
From even sonic standpoint, and it just feels great. Like when you do this, I always forget which record it is. This one common record, and Common always had these his father on the last track of his records, doing the spoken word thingies. And then, do you remember? Do we speak about that tune like in school?
I don't think
it's
so.
Like a 10-minute. Just everybody's on there, like CeeLo Green and Jill Scott and Erykah Badu and Omar from the UK, and lots of people.
No, I don't think so.
No, and this is and Questlove on drums and Pino on bass, and these whole like 10 minutes is the perfect, to me at least, the perfect relation between a bass drum and a bass note, like an electric bass guitar note.
Yeah,
it's just heaven be, and the tune is heaven like that, or something. Heaven be like that. I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up.
Check it out.
How can someone work on that? Because I mean, like you mentioned, a lot of times what we hear as players is you gotta be like synced up all the time with the click, like on top of it. Are there any exercises you can share to, be able to move around the click?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, first of all, it's a thing of experience. So to stay in that whole kind of D'Angelo and Common and Pino and Questlove vibe, when I heard the Voodoo, which is my favorite record of all time, when I heard that the first time, I was like, nah, strange. The second time it hit me, like, no album of all time, of any time, hit me harder than this one. But I didn't understand and didn't feel it the first time I heard it. So it's about experience. When there's a relation between two events, two notes, whatever, you experience it fully without criticizing it, then there's a pattern that you can take into your body and just store it. Like, oh, this is what this feels like. Basically, when we're talking about flams, and I think about flams a lot. You know that from drummers, you got a hit somewhere, and then you got this, this kind of sound, even like in rock, plit poop poop, plit poop poop, plit poop. That's a flam. I try to do the same thing, only that the flam is not, right and left hand of the drummer, but like a drum hit and my bass note.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I got my internal time is maybe the official time, which is always the time of the drummer. This is official time, no matter if he or she speeds up, slows down, whatever. That's official time, and then I go into a relation to these songs. So if I can do this is official time. I can sync up with that, so I make the movement of both arms. It's the same. Or I just lag one behind, which is official time. So this is one little component of a flam that's, that far apart. However you remember that. Anyways, it's just a feeling, a little fragment of a feeling. As soon as you totally experience that without criticizing it in the first place, just look at it. What does it feel like? Then you got a little pattern. Mm-hmm. And you can always, like, when you think about that pattern, basically, or that feeling, then it's there. Then you can perform it. And there's different, like, how broad, basically, or how wide is the flam.
Yeah.
So if that's time again, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Okay, it even feels like a pre-roll to the next one, but still. And what's funny about it is that I figure it's not entirely about where you place a note that tells the listener what kind of, if it's a downbeat or an upbeat or whatever. It's a lot about the intention too. Mm-hmm. So when I experiment with these kind of things, like how far back can I go, and it still feels like pulse, then it's about the intention.
Yeah.
Am I thinking heavy pulse? So, and then it feels like quarter notes, for example. Although it's mathematically it's so late that it's definitely like a 32nd or even a 16th later than the drums or the official time. Then it's about the your intention.
Yeah.
And I figure then, like, when I work with bands and I feel like the pulse is kind of not settled, and it's interesting. I ask people to think a note into the ground. So basically, think the note down. Does that make sense?
So physically to the ground, you mean, right?
You imagine you play that note into the ground, mm-hmm. instead of up into the air.
Yeah.
But then you play, upbeats, and you perform them basically into the air. Mm-hmm. And that makes a tremendous difference most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something also that I definitely took from your lessons is the intention behind the notes, because even if you're playing one note, playing it like you really mean it and with the vigor, and I'm playing this one note and I'm playing it damn right, just makes a huge difference in a groove and in a band scenario. I want to go. We have been doing this with all the bass players who have been here so far. It's like the rapid fire section. You gotta pick one or the other. So, P bass or jazz bass?
As you know, P bass. Here, my lovely. They're all here. I'm a friend. It's just a quick one, right? So no explanations. No, just like red, black or white.
You can explain if you want. I've also sometimes asked questions, but P bass.
I know it's going to be even less around then, but I'm a big fan of Japanese Greco P basses. I've quite a few of them and just freaking love them. Yeah. Whoever hears them has got a Greco P bass, send them my way.
Passive or active basses?
Passive.
You like solid state or tube amps?
I don't like amps. No, I do like amps. But I don't use amps no more. I'm doing in monitors, and I'm a big fan of the of subpack subwoofers. I don't know if you have heard about it, but maybe your listeners.
Explain about that.
This is a little thingy subpack, which is a subwoofer that you carry around like a Hello Kitty backpack, and it gives you the biggest subs in the world. So I always compare it to my estimations, like that you have to invest like 15 grand or something in high quality subwoofers to get behind. And got a lot less friends with backliners needing to put. So everybody's happy with these little things. It's just a membrane. Your body becomes basically the resonance thingy. So it's not just like vibration or something, but you become the bass note. It's got a frequency from 5 hertz or something to 100.
Wow!
And just the biggest bass output you can imagine.
Yeah,
it's a great thing. So I just get with good preamp sound into the board, and then I get it back and got all the subs in the world. It's a lot easier for me in musical directing situations to get sounds right off stage. Basically, got the bass drum and my bass notes and stuff, and I can figure out what's going on there in the low end. Before it even goes out.
Yeah.
So if there's some rumble or something, we can, I can talk to my friends there and get possible annoying resonances out of the bass drum and all that kind of stuff. Or ring in stand toms and stuff is an issue. Yeah. And I love it.
Nice.
No phasing issues as well. Which is the greatest thing ever. I always had like this slightest when I play with amps and in monitors. I always got this phase thingy going, which makes me crazy.
Yeah,
and not anymore.
Yeah,
and I can just I need more subs. This little thing, this sub pack's got an intensity knob, so I need more subs. I just turn that up, and my whole body vibrate. And it's just, and I'm getting scared, then I just turn it back down and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned already no amps, but if you're sending a signal to front of house, then you're using a DI. Which DI are you using?
Most of the time, Aguilar tone hammers. Mm-hmm. Like on like an MTV Unplugged, and I had all my thingies through tone hammers. So the double bass, the electrics, which were hollow bodies in that scenario, and my synth, especially synth basses and stuff, I love through the tone hammer.
Nice.
But I'm using like the Behringer €30 cents amp knockoff, for example. I use that a lot too.
That was great.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Mhm.
Do you like clean or overdriven bass tones?
Well, I'm more on the clean side, I would say.
Hmm.
In terms of overdriven, I don't know. I'm not that much into rock. I'm into rock music, but I never get hired for playing rock music. So this like the standard or cliche kind of overdriven thingy doesn't come my way that often.
Yeah. Rounds or flat wound strings?
You know me, flats. Yeah,
Which flats are
all
you
the way.
right now?
At the moment, I'm full on DR. Just the legends are great. Yeah, I used to play La Bella Jameson sets for a very long time, uh, especially on short scales, but as well on P bass and stuff. But now I'm super happy with the legends. And for five strings, I don't play much five strings, but the five string set is great too.
Yeah. You like the neck or bridge pickup more?
I don't have bridge pickups most of the time.
Yeah. Um, finger or pick playing?
Oh, we need to hurry up there, right? But I want to show you this.
Yeah.
Like, did you see this one already? So this is a little creation of my own.
What is that?
There's basically a neck and a very neck pickup.
Is that an
For the
EBO
people just, yeah, that's the 70s. I got a little went down to C sharp.
Wow.
But anyway, you were asking.
For those of you who are just listening, I think that's a short scale bass, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. She has shown me a Frankenstein short scale bass with an EBO pickup at the very neck position, like really close to the neck, and a angular P pickup in the sweet spot position. Very cool.
Definitely, I nearly lost two of my fingers while working on this shit. So I got like a bandsaw and a band, what's it called, sanding thingy from my dad. And I'm not very good with these kind of things, but at one point my son came in and just kind of, I didn't concentrate proper. And then two of my fingers were in this freaking band sanding thingy and just was splatter. It was just like a horror movie for a bit.
Oh no.
Well, I managed a bit. There was no bass playing finger. It was just like on the right hand and the thumb on some on a space that I don't need, on a place that I don't need for bass playing. So
I know that. Yeah. Finger or pick playing?
Finger. Although I do enjoy, especially lately, pick playing on this on the maple P bass with I got the R the what they called. We spoke about that, Iván. Which one are they?
Pure blues?
Yeah, the pure blues.
Really great.
Like that.
Do you prefer playing in a club or an open air show?
Both. I don't know. It's both cool. I don't know.
You gotta pick though.
I got it. Okay. Then I would say club.
Okay, that's been the most common answer so far.
Yeah. I mean, it's great, nature and all that, but sometimes as well, weather. I remember we did an unplugged show in Trier, which is in Germany, not far from my home, so I could take all my kids and stuff. That was nice. It was a very hot day, and it was under some sort of plastic tent, if you will. And I got this double bass with these black coated strings, and we did sound check, and the bass just stood there, obviously, until we started playing, and it was the sun directly on that bass, and then showtime, we go on stage, and I played the first note and just burned my index finger on that because it was so freaking, and the friction from the first note, it was So clubs are better in that respect, definitely. You got less problems with the weather.
Yeah. That has hurt.
Yeah, figure out what it was. Basically. You know, you concentrate on the study in the moment. It's like, oh, that's strange.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you prefer 4 or 5 string basses?
I play mostly 4.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I play 4. I prefer low notes, but you know, I did lots of experimentation with playing 4 strings with basically a BAD tuning and C sharp standard tuning, and it all makes me a bit worried. The CPU goes up. But that's what I'm don't like so much. So I guess I'm gonna be a 5-string player soon enough when I found one bass that I really like as a 5er.
Mm-hmm. Do you prefer playing live?
One bass now here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, now I got my my 80s dub bass headless whatever. This is a 5er.
What is that thing?
Huh?
What is that thing?
The Frankenstein thing. I bought the body and the neck from a guy in Munich, which is fan fret. Put these EMGs and put the bridge pieces in and stuff. And this is now my best interpretation of what Robbie Shakespeare would have played in 8. For the people, you know, this is a headless bass. I needed to have one for this dub thingy. That to me screams dub.
Nice. Do you prefer playing live or doing like studio recordings?
Oh, both questions.
Studio?
Yeah. I don't know. It really depends. I mean, there's studio sessions that are just lame in a way where you can't really enjoy yourself, and then there's live things that are just great, and then there's live gigs that are just not great, and studio sessions that are just freaking awesome. So it really depends on the. More like a question: do you like good music or bad music? And then I would say good music, and that can be live or in the studio.
Yeah.
You know, do you like working with assholes or with nice people? Then you know, this work with nice people could be in the studio or on stage. But I mean, lately, anyways, I'm good with all of this.
So we're I think closing in an hour right now. So what are your top 5 most influential albums of all time?
Definitely D'Angelo Voodoo, like I said. Slum Village, the Fantastic Volume 2. Maybe Babylon by Bass, Bob Marley, The Wailers. Love that one. Think biscuits for breakfast. Okay. How many is this? 3, 4?
1, 2, 3, 4. One more.
Oh, one more. Shit.
I know one that you definitely. Yeah. The Life Breaker of Donny Hathaway.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Donny Hathaway Live, definitely. This is for. I mean, you asked just in general, right? You didn't ask like for as an influential in terms of my bass playing.
No, in general.
You asked just like on my life, and this is definitely the records that I maybe listen to the most.
Yeah.
But for bass playing, definitely Donny Hathaway Live, Willie Weeks. Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
I love it.
nice.
It's like. You know, this is a great example always for me with this. You know, the Jameson style or ideas and concepts basically, but this is him. This is Willie Weeks all the way. But it's not a rip-off.
Yeah.
I love that kind of idea. You know, as I'm such a big D'Angelo fan, got lots of ripped DVDs from of live concerts. There's one thingy that I mean, I saw D'Angelo with Questlove and with Chris Dave. It's all different. And then on this one DVD that I got from a gig from Brazil, I think there's Frankie Knuckles, which is the Roots percussion player, right? And he's, I guess, I think it's them. And he's playing drums there because Questlove wasn't there or something. And that's the same, you know, I love that idea. It's the same show, basically the same beats, and it's so different. Just from the, you know, and I guess if you were to transcribe whatever, any of them, basically the same, and it just feels so different. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Where can people find you online? And I know you also do online lessons. How can people reach out if you want to learn some mean hip hop grooves or bass?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram, and my Instagram is at HazE of Bass.
Mm-hmm.
I get HAZE of, and then bass, BASS. Yeah. Apart from that, I'm not so much of a social media butterfly, but I like to speak with people. So get in touch. It's not that I don't want to speak with people. It's more like I'm organizing my day that I'm not posting so much or as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
And I've got a YouTube channel, but I can't for the life. I don't know the name. I think it's HazE of Bass too. I don't know. Okay. I'm pretty sure somehow on the Instagram hookup should lead to some YouTube things too.
Yeah. Cool.
Maybe that's interesting. I did like that's a long time ago, but like a history of rap bass lines thingy. So when you're learn something about hip hop bass playing, ideas about that, there's maybe a good resource.
Yeah, there's gonna be links on a video on YouTube for all that, for people to check that out. But thanks for doing this. I'm gonna stop recording, and then we can chat a little bit more. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and hit up HazE if you wanna get better at bass as well. Bye.
Yeah, great. You're doing the great thing there. You know that. I hope you know that.
What do you mean?
What you're doing for the community and all that. That's really
Appreciate it.
I'm digging it.
I hope that I get to talk to HazE in person at the show sometime soon, because like I said earlier, I have learned so much from him, and not only about bass playing and, you know, playing different genres and consistency of playing and different techniques and different approaches to writing bass lines and understanding music, but also about, you know, being a good human being, meditating, communicating with different people, and just to be, you know, a good person. And I owe a lot of that to him. So I hope to have him here in person at the show sometime soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to check out HazE on Facebook and on Instagram at HazE of Bass. Check out his history of rap bassline video. It's on YouTube. There's gonna be a link if you're watching this on YouTube in the description below. And he also teaches online, so you can hit him up for lessons as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.